All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about something that can completely change the game for how a team operates. We're going to break down how you can build a culture that gets smarter, and I mean way smarter, with every single move it makes.
But first, let me ask you this. What if every single time something went wrong, every so-called mistake, wasn't actually a setback at all? What if it was a piece of intelligence, a clue? Seriously, what if failure was actually your team's most valuable, untapped resource for growth?
And that idea really brings us to the first big concept here, the mindset of learning from every single outcome. This is the absolute foundation of everything we're about to talk about. So here's the thing. It just doesn't matter if a decision leads to a massive win or, a total dead end. Both of those outcomes are jam-packed with useful data. The goal isn't to be right all the time. That's impossible. The goal is to learn all the time. Every result, good or bad, is basically telling you something you didn't know before. Okay, so if every outcome is a lesson, the next obvious question is, right, how do you learn those lessons fast enough for them to actually matter? And that leads us directly to the power of rapid feedback. When you strip it all down, it's the super simple, repeatable loop. It's just 3 steps. You decide on something, you analyze what happened, and then you adjust your approach based on what you just found out. The secret sauce here isn't how complex these steps are, it's how fast you can cycle through them. Decide, analyze, adjust, again and again. Now let's be honest, that middle step, analyze, that's where so many teams get completely stuck. I mean, you can't analyze what you can't see, right? Guessing or waiting around for a report from 2 weeks ago, that's just not going to work. For this loop to be effective, you need data, and you need it right now, real time. And that is where tools like custom dashboards become, well, mission critical. They're not just for looking at pretty charts. They are literally engines for learning. They pull in that live data, let you see what's happening this very second, and they're what enable those truly agile, truly informed responses. It's not just about the software, though. There's a really important human element that the source material points out, and that's collaboration. When you can actually work with data experts to build the tools that show you exactly what you need to know, that's when the data becomes incredibly powerful. So, okay, we've got the process down, decide, analyze, adjust. We've got the tools, but none of it works if your team is terrified to make a move in the first place. And this is where we have to talk about building a fast fail culture. I mean, just look at the difference here. In an old school culture, the fear of failing is just paralyzing. It makes every decision slow and agonizing because everyone's just trying to avoid getting blamed. But in an agile culture, the entire script gets flipped. Failure is just another word for a lesson. And that freedom, it lets the team make decisions fast and learn even faster. And that right there is the heart of it. The number one goal is to destigmatize failure. You have to strip away that negative baggage. It needs to become a normal, expected, and heck, even a celebrated part of how you innovate. It's not about being reckless, it's about being brave enough to learn out loud. Now, check this out. This is such a powerful, concrete example. Can you imagine that? A weekly meeting that isn't about bragging about wins, but is specifically for sharing failures. A place where people can openly say, hey, I tried this, it didn't work, and here's what I learned. That one simple ritual can completely transform failure from something you hide into a shared asset that makes the whole team smarter. But you have to ask, right? Who kicks off those kinds of conversations? Who makes it feel safe enough for people to be that vulnerable? Well, that brings us to our last, and honestly, probably the most important point of all. Let's be crystal clear about this. A shift like this doesn't happen from the bottom up. It absolutely has to start at the top. When leaders are willing to openly talk about their own missteps, their own failures, and what they learned, they basically give everyone else on the organization permission to do the same thing. They have to model the exact behavior they want to see. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this question to take back with you. It's not a matter of if something will go off plan, it's just a matter of when. So the real question is, what failure are you going to choose to learn from this week?